I am so excited to be here with Hildur Jonsdottir and talk about her amazing launch success. Welcome on the show, Hildur.
Thank you, Sigrun. Great to be here with you.
So, Hildur, you have been launching several times. How often have you launched?
I've been doing this for 2 years now, since I joined Samba with you. And I've probably, every 2-3 months I've been launching. So I've been doing quite a few.
Quite a few, but still, only 2 years ago, you didn't really know how to launch. And now,
absolutely no idea.
no idea. And now you are having amazing launch success. And that's what we want to talk about. And we want to inspire our listeners and viewers to learn from your experience. So before we dive into your launch experience, what courses are you selling through launches?
Well, I'm a health counselor, and I'm helping people with autoimmune diseases and chronic diseases to improve their health. So I have kind of a sequence. People start with, my program is called Hildur's Health Mastery. Mm-hmm. And it starts with a foundation course. Then people go on to an advanced program, and then they have a support system in the end.
Yeah. So it's basically like a starter signature course and some sort of a membership in the end.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you have done several launches. So let's talk about what are your launch secrets. I know you have very high conversion rates. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of sales on your webinars. You also have a lot of repeat sales from your foundation course to your advanced course. Mm-hmm. Let's start with typically when you go into a launch, what is your favorite launch method?
Well, I have basically just done one, and that is I launched through webinars.
Yeah.
And I am so spoiled with my high conversions that I haven't really needed to work properly like I do proper launches, because the only way I've, for example, built my list is through webinar signups. I've never done a freebie, which I'm doing for the first time right now. So my regular sequence is that I start just to advertise my webinars 2 weeks prior. Then I have 2 webinars. I have one, and then I have an anchor one. Mm-hmm. And 3 days later, after the second one, I start my course.
So 3 days only?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is basically, usually I have a webinar on a Saturday, for example, then again on a Thursday night, and then my course starts on Monday. So it's 4 days.
Okay, so you still open cart on a Saturday.
Yes.
And you started a week later. So your open cart is essentially still a whole week. Yeah.
Yeah, a little over a whole week. Yeah.
Yes. But you do extra, webinar where you are introducing your course on a Thursday to grab those people who missed the other one or sign up.
Yes, exactly. I usually don't give out recordings. I want to have people live, but sometimes I send out recordings after the second one.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's an important point that I've also made with a lot of people who have not seen maybe great success with their webinar launches, is that they have announced a replay, and that is gonna, not have people show up live. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you do your webinars. You have used different methods. You're based in Iceland, and sometimes you were able to get some press coverage or even go on the radio. So what have you done to get media attention when you need it?
Well, I have amazing success stories with my people, like course participants, and also just my own story is quite amazing. So that is something that the media jumps on. When you have with health success, that is something that people are always interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have just an employee of mine has just put out basically press releases and followed up through usually personal messages through Facebook. If she finds a person that works on certain programs, then she just sends a personal message. I sent you an email last week. Did you have a chance to read it? And it would be great because I know that you would have fun talking about this topic or something like that. So I go very personal when
Yeah.
I follow up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a great, idea for some people who have not tried it. Press
Mm-hmm.
release and follow up. And you can do this in any country. I know it's maybe a little bit easier in Iceland where everybody knows everybody. But still, I would also try it in some other countries and see, especially if you live in a smaller village or community, you might have great success with this method. So you
Absolutely.
have gotten people to notice you more through this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't do it for every launch though.
No. I've done it for 2 launches in these
Yeah.
2 years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe
So
once
I
a
don't,
year. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense because the media is not going to want to interview again and again multiple times.
No.
Okay. So when you do your webinars, what is your kind of your goal for signups?
Well, I try to, my minimum conversion usually is around 10%. So like from a total launch list.
Yeah. But how many people do you actually want to get to sign up for a webinar?
Well, last time in March, my goal was 1,000 and I had never gone more than 500 and I reached that. I'm still working just in Iceland, but I'm opening up for English market in October. So Iceland is very small.
Yeah.
But still my goal now is 2,000. I'm not sure. I'm launching now in September.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the market is too small to get there,
Yeah.
but that is my aim now.
Yeah. But you went from 500 to 1,000 signups,
Exactly.
and someone who had not launched at all 2 years ago. I think that's amazing.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Let's hope the market is big enough for you getting 2,000 next time. Okay.
Yeah.
So people sign up for the webinar. What do you do with them? Do they join a free Facebook group? Do you nurture them through email? What do you do with them before the actual webinar?
Yeah. I do send them an email like once a week just to remind them and tell them just like have an interesting, some tiny story in there to keep them interested. I have an open group or like closed group, but open for everyone that are interested in my work. And I use always the same group. So that is just building up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do my every launch through there. So even people that joined there like a year ago and haven't bought my program, they are always reminded through there that I'm doing a launch.
Yeah.
So I'm still getting people, even though they've been there for quite a while, all of a sudden it's the right time for them and they jump in.
Yeah. And they might not even sign up for the webinar, but they get woken up through the
Yeah,
activity in the free Facebook group.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your typical show up rate then for the webinar?
It's 40 to 50%.
40 to 50%. That's amazing. Typically attendance is like 20 to 30%. So what do you think is the reason you get such a good show up rate to your webinar?
I I think it's more the excitement about my program rather than that I'm keeping them warm before the webinar, because people that have heard about the program are very excited about to hear more. Mm-hmm. So I think my subject really helps there.
Yeah, but typically when we do a webinar, you are still teaching something. But you feel it is actually the draw. It's not necessarily the teaching part. It's actually they want to hear about the program.
Yeah, and actually my webinar, like you say, some people change themes and teach different things. My webinars have always been the same, and I call them an introduction course to my program. So people know that they are coming in there to know more about how my program works.
Yeah.
So I'm very open with that. And I basically just go deep. What I do on the webinar, and that is why I think I have a great success, is that I go into giving people trust in me and the program, and I'm giving them through the webinar a hope that they can also really improve their own health.
Yeah.
So basically go very deep in how the program works. So they understand kind of even scientifically what I am building my program on. And that helps them to get this trust and hope, which a lot of my clients have lost completely because they've been challenged with chronic diseases for a very long time.
Yeah. We need to talk about that, even though you've only been launching for 2 years and these courses and this business model you have today has only existed since we started to work together. You were doing this one-on-one for years before. So you had built a reputation. How long were you doing consulting or even blogging about this subject?
I wasn't really working I've been working as a counselor in different fields. So not on this, I just put together this program 2015-16. And so prior to that, I was doing different things with as a counselor. But so my reputation for this hasn't been building up more than 3 years or so.
Yeah, 3 years
so I was
prior.
Fairly new when I started Zumba.
Yeah. Fairly new, but
yeah.
Now, since you're launching it so often, you say every 3 months or so, people are hearing about it more and more. And I think it's super smart, the naming of your webinar. There's no beating around the bush here. You're not hiding the fact that you are introducing a program on the webinar. And I think it's a smart idea. I don't think that's going to work for everyone. And it's challenging when you have a brand new program. And I do think it's also challenging when you have a high competition in a field, for instance, like business coaching or marketing coaching. It is a different animal, but I think for you, it has been the perfect choice. And repeating it again and again, people just know exactly what they're getting from you.
Yeah. And actually the competition here in our small market in Iceland is quite big, because there are a lot of people. But of course, you always have to build and be very strong on your where is your uniqueness? What makes you different? And I'm very focused on that, to kind of take myself out of so people are not comparing myself to the other ones that are on the market. I'm constantly telling them how different I am.
Yeah. Well,
and this is what you can do wherever you are.
Yeah, there is no competition if you make it into no competition. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have about 40-50% show up on the webinar. Last time you had 1,000 people signed up. So
Yeah.
that's quite a number that shows up to your webinar. We're talking about 400 or 500 people. Do you manage this all on your own, or do you have some help?
I do have help. I'm constantly building now my team. I started with just one VA, and she has followed me most of the time. But now I have people working for me as contractors, and I have total four persons working with me.
Yeah.
So I do have help.
Yeah, that sounds good when you have that type of a number on your webinar.
Yeah.
So you do this introduction to your course. Do you have some sort of an offer, like a fast action bonus if they join you right away?
Yeah. So in the beginning of the webinar, I tell people also to make it clear that in the end, I will tell them how they can work with me ongoing. So they know that there's something coming about my program and some offer. And then I always invite or like offer them an early bird, like 24-hour discount. So that has been my routine, but I have not used any bonuses so far.
Yeah.
So this is just the only offer that I make. And then it's the open card. And of course, I'm very busy during open cards, especially in the Facebook group.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a discount on your first webinar. Do you repeat that discount on the second webinar or not?
No. I did that in the beginning, but I have stopped because I feel that there is no difference. People that come to the second webinar, they are basically, okay, I have to like.
You have to decide now. It starts in 3 days.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's no need to bring it back. And also sounds a little bit unfair. It's not really a, early bird bonus if you're not an early bird anymore. Yeah. So how are your sales distributed? In a typical webinar launch with a week open card like you have, we see about 30% joining on the open card day, 30% closed card, 30% or 40% in the middle. How is your split?
It's about 70% on the webinar.
70% on Saturday or within?
No, the first 24 hours.
24 hours. Okay, yeah. So you have the early bird bonus, 24 hours, and 70% join. Now, that means that you can probably raise your price.
It's a question.
Yeah. It probably means that. It means that people are super ready, super excited, and the price is not an issue. They're so excited about it. So typically when I see that happening, it means that you can tweak your prices, probably raise them a bit. Yeah. Right. Because that is, or the card open can be a lot shorter. There's no need to have an open card for a whole week when you see most people buy within 24 hours. Yeah. So you could save yourself the time and energy for that. So something to think about for the next time. Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea with the price, but the length is to be able to include the second webinar. So that is
of course. Yeah. I often do, or when I do a webinar launch, I do the encore quicker. I announce it immediately after the early bird or the fast action bonus is gone away, and then I do it maybe the day after, so I don't wait so long. So that's
I do run ads also for the anchor one,
for the second one. Okay. So you are active in the Facebook group. You're probably also sending out regular emails during that open card period. And you just mentioned you run ads to the second webinar, so you kind of get a scoop of maybe some new leads in. What are you doing exactly in the Facebook group during that open card week?
I've done random things, but basically my pattern hasn't changed. I do 70% of the sales of the attendees that do buy from each webinar, and it's the same for the anchor one. And then basically 30% are buying the last day or the last 2 days or so. So I don't sell a lot during open card beside the webinars.
No, but
But
what are you doing exactly in the Facebook group? Are you
yeah,
bringing testimonials or quotes? Are you going live? What are the activities you're doing in the free group?
yeah, I do both. I have a lot of testimonials to work with, so we put in one a day. I interview people that have worked with me, and they share their success stories. And then I've done once in every open card, I do a Q&A as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that is a very good idea, the Q&A.
Mhm.
Do you do
Yeah.
that really close to close card, or when is the Q&A? When does it happen?
Yeah, usually it is, if I do like on Thursday, the anchor one, I usually do the Q&A on Saturday.
Yeah,
And that's like two days before close card.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And are you inviting people to come and share the success stories, or is it always you posting?
Uh, yeah, you mean, no, I ask in my programs if people are willing to come on and do an interview with me. So I do that also in the pre-sale, like in before the webinar.
Yeah,
In the month before, I start to take interviews with people and share that in the Facebook group. I do at least one during the week,
mm-hmm.
and then we have quotes, just like testimonials that we post
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense. What we've
Mm-hmm.
also done in our launches more and more in the past, probably 2 years, is to just let people know that they can come into our free group and share
Yeah.
their stories. And it
Mm-hmm.
always takes the first 2, 3 to get it going.
Yeah.
But we've had launches where like the group goes crazy. We have our clients come in because it feels like, oh, my friend so and so shared already. I'm going to share my success story too. Um, and I specifically talk about, like, imagine this was you before you joined the program and you're on the fence of joining. What would you say to yourself? And basically, it's like giving forward. You're giving
Yeah.
advice to another person, but you're basically talking to yourself, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is also a great idea. Also, allowing people to do a Facebook Live depends, of course. Maybe that's not fitting your audience, but for my audience, definitely makes sense to say, hey, just go live on your own. I don't need to interview you. You can just share your
Yeah.
story on your own. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just because I'm working with such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of steer this a little bit more myself. That's why I
Yeah.
do it.
Makes absolute sense for your
Yeah,
health topic. Okay, so you
exactly.
have about 70% on the first webinar, 30% sales on the second, not necessarily so much sales through emails. And then you have your Q&A before card close. But your overall conversion from the launch list, you said just when we started the interview, that was about 10%. Is that been higher? Like, what,
Yeah,
what do
it
you
has
say
been.
when it's higher? What do you think when it's higher? What has happened?
Um, well, actually, it's very difficult for me to say. Like I've been having like conversion 10 to 18%. And I did a very small launch, I thought, last May, just 2 months after I did the last big launch. And it seemed that people were just waiting, that hadn't been able to attend in March or whatever. And I had amazing conversion. I didn't do any PR. It was a very short time before the runway towards the launch, and I got way more than I expected. So for me, it is very difficult to kind of see exactly, because maybe because I'm still doing a lot of launches, but now I will reduce it and I will just do basically 2 launches a year.
Yeah.
Even one, and will have it automated.
Yeah.
So it's gonna change now.
But I think a lot of people have been seeing a spike in launches during coronavirus and lockdown, which has been this urge of people wanting to go online and do online courses. And it doesn't matter if it's health, you know, or business or marketing or personal development. There has been a surge. So I think that has been maybe one of the reasons why you feel this pressure. It's almost like you could launch one more time extra than you do normally if Corona hadn't happened. That's what I'm seeing in my business and with many of my clients.
Yeah, that could very well be. Yeah.
So last launch, you said 1,000 signups, 50% show up rate. So many people are buying. What is the resulting revenue?
For that one, it was little less. Yeah, now I have to think dollars. Probably 35,000.
$35,000. How many spots?
126.
126 spots. So what's the price of that's the foundation course, right? That you launched.
Yes, that's the foundation, the 4-week program.
Yeah. And the price is in dollars?
249, I think. No, 200. No, little less than 300.
Okay. Yeah. So
289
or so, and 120 spots.
Yeah. Little over.
Yeah. Fabulous. You are now so experienced with launches. So how do you feel when you're going into a launch? Do you feel excited? Do you feel ease or stress, or what's going on? Like, you've been launching so often, you kind of know what to expect, even if there's always some unknown every time. But how do you feel?
Well, it is becoming, I feel, a little too easy. So now I'm focusing on how to improve it and do it even better. It is basically, I always love launching. I love doing the webinars. I love being with people and get my message out. And now I'm focusing on, like, I know I can do this even better. So now I'm building my first freebie. I'm doing more like in the runway. And so I'm focusing on building more excitement up for the whole 6 weeks before. So that is what I'm doing now, and it feels great.
That feels great. That sounds great. That's exactly what we are doing behind the scenes with our clients right now. We're helping them build a runway, because the longer the runway, the bigger the launch. And Hildur, you might even see higher conversions than you've seen before. That would be amazing.
That would be exciting. We'll see how to compare.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, the next time you launch, or let's say is Icelandic market, but then you're going into the English market, then you can probably feel a little bit again the challenge and the excitement.
It's going to be very interesting to see the difference, because then I'm going into a completely new market and completely unknown again. So it's going to be interesting to compare also, because Iceland is small market. It's easy to get the message out here, like how it will be, if it's really some magic that I have for webinars, or if it's some reason for that I'm working in a small market. So it's going to be great to compare this.
Yeah, I am sure that you are so experienced in launching. It doesn't matter which language it is, but it's good to get some excitement in, because I think we should never get too comfortable. We need a bit of a challenge and creativity to keep the excitement for our own business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining, Hildur. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your launch wisdom with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.